Hey, y'all, real quick, I just wanted to come on and encourage you. Listen, I want to remind you of something because sometimes we can feel like we are on an island by ourselves and nobody and nothing makes sense. Nobody understands us. Things are just not going the way that you thought it was going to go. And you might be feeling right now that you are alone. And you might be feeling right now like, God, where are you? Um, I want to encourage you, okay, because this is the time when God puts you sometimes in a situation where the only resource you have is God. The only source you have is God. And in these moments when you are feeling isolated or you're feeling alone or you're feeling like no one is around, this is the time that you really need to focus on seeking God like never before. What I mean is take the time to really spend time focusing on your relationship with God, getting to know God's voice, because this is the time that God is going to really begin to speak to you if you take the time to really seek after God. In these moments when you are alone, and I want to remind you though, you're not actually alone because God is still there with you, because we know God is omnipresent. And I want you to understand that you're not actually alone. These are moments when God is allowing for there to be space and time for you to begin to seek after Him for direction, to seek after God for what is the next thing that He wants you to do, to seek after God for where is it that He's taking you at this time, and also to learn His voice more clearly, right? And be able to hear His voice more clearly is what I mean to say. Don't feel like you're alone, because God's always with you. And sometimes when we feel like we're alone, God is actually carrying us through. So I want to remind you that God is with you. He has not left your side. Yes, you might be going through some things where you feel isolated, you feel alone, and you feel like no one's around, but God is there. He's with you. I want to remind you that sometimes in the process of you becoming who God calls you to be, these are things that will happen during that process, in a sense that there will be moments when you will be completely alone and you'll feel isolated, because this is the time that God is going to begin to restructure you and make you and mold you, right? And in these times, it's necessary for you to be alone to hear the voice of God. But you're not alone because God's there. I hope I'm making sense. Because remember, when David was in the cave and he was hiding from Saul, when Saul was running after him, basically chasing him down, hunting him down to kill him, he was technically alone, but he wasn't alone because he was with God. God was with him. And during that time is, when David wrote Psalms or whatever, David wrote Psalms, and he wrote Psalms in different things that related to God's protection and God covering him, but he also worshiped God at that time as well. That's the other thing. See, sometimes God allows for us to be alone and essentially and be kind of isolated so we can have the time to truly worship Him in spirit and in truth, and not be influenced by all the noise that's going on, right? Because there's a lot of noise that's going on in our world right now that can distract us from actually focusing on giving God the glory, giving God the praise, worshiping God in spirit and in truth. Sometimes does require for you to be quote unquote alone. Okay. But I want to remind you, right? When you get into that secret place with God and God begins to speak to you, it is the most amazing experience. And if you worship God, if you're more of a worshiper than like a shouter or praiser, Like for me, I'm more of a worshiper than I am a shouter or praiser. It's a different level of connection with God when you worship God versus shouting and praising. Not that, shouting and praising is necessary too, but when you worship God, it's like a whole different level you go to. Like you go beyond the veil is what they call it, right? You go beyond the surface. You go into the depths and deeps with God. And that requires for you to have solitude so you can actually hear the voice of God, so you can gain the download that God is going to send to you during this time of you being alone. I want to encourage you because this is also a time for you to have major growth, right? This is an opportunity not only for you to get closer to God, but for God to then grow you spiritually, allow you to gain more spiritual growth, more spiritual knowledge, more spiritual understanding, where God can then download revelations into you, whether he tells you to share them with people or not, but he's going to sometimes show you the next thing that he has planned for your life. And sometimes he will tell you not to tell anybody. Okay, so during this time of quote unquote isolation is the time that God is going to download things into you. He's going to teach you. He's going to mold you and make you into who he's calling you to be, right? This is necessary for the process of you becoming. All right. I just wanted to come on and encourage you because I know some of you have been experiencing those moments of isolation and you're like, I don't understand this, God, but God is doing this to help you grow into the next place and grow into who he's calling you to be and what he's making you to be. And this is a necessary time for you to be able to hear the voice of God clearly and hear God's instructions clearly on what he wants you to do. Because there's so many distractions around, you gotta get to that place of silence and solitude. And you might find that it's very peaceful there too. Very peaceful. And you may not want to leave the solitude once you embrace it for what it is and you embrace the peace that's there. That's where you're going to find the peace that surpasses all understanding as well. Okay? So I just wanted to come on and encourage you because I know some of you might be going through that moment of isolation and you might be like, God, nobody's around, but God is there and he's around. And this is your time to not only worship God in spirit and truth, but find out from God what it is that he has in store for you. And I promise you, if you ask, he will tell you. Ask and you shall receive, seek and you will find. Seek after God during this time. All right. All right. I love y'all. Y'all know I love you. Now you go out and make it a great day on purpose. And don't you go messing up nobody else's day. But this time of isolation is not to harm you. It's to actually make you. And this is the time where you will just seek after what God has for you. And this is a time where your spiritual ears should be wide open to hear what God has to say. And it's a good place to be so that you don't have a bunch of distraction around you. It's a good place to be, I promise you. Okay? All right, I love y'all. Y'all know I love you. Now you go out and make it a great day on purpose. And don't you go mess up nobody else's day, okay? All right, I love y'all. Bye.